Welcome everyone to Breaking Into Tech. I'm so excited to be here today with Mariana. We're going to talk about her time at Sabio, and this is the first episode of the new year 2024, and I'm really excited about the episodes that we have scheduled coming up. So thanks so much for being here today. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to share my experience.
All right, so let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up? And then we'll dive into how you found out about Sabio.
Of course. Well, I'm Mariana. I'm from Mexico City. I just came to LA 6 years ago. So it was challenging for me to find a job when I arrived here. So that's what led me to Sabio.
So you moved from Mexico City to LA. That's a huge transition. And then through Sabio, you were able to, help you find employment and probably change your life.
Yeah, that definitely happened. Well, I was working when I arrived here, but I didn't find anything because before I was doing some organizational development strategies and I was working as a PMO. But when I first arrived here, since I didn't have experience in USA, they were like, "Oh, okay, I call you later." But I know that call you later was like, this is not gonna happen. So I needed to make a huge change in my life.
Yeah. So what led you to learning about Sabio? How did you find out about them?
Well, honestly, it was the social media. Yeah, I know. I sometimes you lose a lot of time in that, but sometimes you can find something meaningful. So I was there and I saw that they were having like, well, not Sabio, but I learned about bootcamps in tech. So I was reading about that and I was like, well, why don't I try? But before going into Sabio, I went to General Assembly to try a couple of classes that they give like for free, like Python and some other to see if it was for me. Because you never know, maybe it's boring, maybe you don't like it. So after I found out that I like it, I started like with the pre-work that they ask you for, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is something that well, if you asked me before, like 10 years ago, I would never think that I was working into tech or something like that.
So it wasn't something you were expecting or had your plan to do. It just kind of fell into your lap and then you started learning more about it and you liked it and you're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Yeah.
So you said that you started looking into coding boot camps, but then you ended up at Sabio. So how exactly did you do more research on the internet and then like Sabio popped up? Did you go to an info session? How did you end up learning about Sabio?
Well, honestly, every time that I have like a huge decision to make, I make a really big research. So I was looking for the best boot camps. And then I found at least, I don't remember the place. Well, honestly, my husband also helped me in that because you know that it's a huge investment that you are doing. So you need to decide really good what you are going to be doing. So we searched into the best ones and I got a list of 5 or 6. And then I started going to different info sessions, going to the places. So after the info session, I got with Sabio, and they were saying that, oh, you know what? When you come to this bootcamp, you are not going to have life for the next 3 months. So I was like, wow, they are really committed and they really believe because I was like, well, am I getting a job right after the course? So they were like, yes and no. It really depends on you, and you put the effort. So they were really realistic, and they gave uh, the right information to me. So I was like, wow. So you can accomplish everything, but if you put the effort. So they were like really clear with that. And after the info session, I decided to go to downtown to have a little chat with Gregorio just to ask a few more questions and to make sure I was doing the right decision for me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I love that they are so open and honest about how hard it is and how much your success relies on you and not, you know, they can't do all the work. You have to send out the resumes, you have to do the coursework, you have to be committed. It requires a lot from you, and I love that they're very open and honest about how much work it is because it's a lot of work. A lot.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's what I really like about them because they were like really clear and transparent to me. So I was like, wow, this is the place that I want to join.
Yeah. That sounds great. So you talked to Gregorio, you probably talked to your husband again, and then you guys decided this is the right place, and then you dove in. So what was that experience like? Did you go in person or was it remote? What was that experience like?
In person. Yeah, maybe I was the last one that was, because I think before it was only in person, but I graduated right after COVID. So it's
Okay.
different times. Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and based on like the dates, I was like, I wonder if she went like right before COVID or right after or how that all worked out. So, yeah. So that's kind of like a crazy time to be leaving, like graduating from Sabio, because the world is kind of going through this crazy transition. Things are shutting down. There's a lot of uncertainty. And then you're, graduating with this exciting, expecting a career, and then all this stuff is happening. So, what was that like? And then we'll go back to what your time at Sabio was like.
Oh, honestly, it was like living a nightmare because, firstly, well, you think about your personal life and you're like, well, after I graduate first from Sabio, I'm gonna have like my personal life back. Well, that didn't happen. But this is not the worst part of it. After I graduated, it was really hard to find a job because now there were not like a lot of jobs for juniors. Tech started to become bigger, but for juniors, it was not like a real good option. So for me, it was really hard to find a job. But well, sometimes I feel like, oh, did I make the right decision? Am I wrong? This is because it took me like 7 months maybe to find a job, or maybe a little bit more, because it was really hard times. But in the meantime, I continued studying. I continued talking to my to the people that I studied with. So we were doing some mocking interviews. We continued with the project. So it was really nice. And also, well, one of the people that really helped me, it was Liliana, because she was always there for me, like, oh, don't give up, don't give up. You have to continue doing carpet bombing. Just continue sending resumes. You will see that this will happen. And yeah, it honestly did happen.
Yeah. Yeah, Liliana is amazing, and like not only all the work that she does to like keep Sabio running, but how much she's involved with the graduates who are going through the program and helping to make sure that they find a job and don't get discouraged, because sometimes it can take a while and that can be really discouraging, especially after you put all that hard work into it and then, it doesn't seem to be working out. But like you said, eventually it did happen. So now we're going to backtrack because I got a little excited about COVID and you transitioning. And let's talk about your time in Sabio. You talked about how it was really challenging, but what was the whole experience like?
Well, I would say that it was amazing. I really love it, but it was also challenging because, well, I studied international relations, so I have no experience in engineering or maths. Actually, when I was younger, I was running away from maths. I was like trying to search for something that wasn't related to that. So, and I also love story and literature and some stuff like that. So I was like, oh, international relations, it's the best decision. So sometimes, well, I also had some conversation with Gregorio, and I was like, oh, people, it's going like faster than me. I feel like I'm falling behind. And he was like, well, you just need to continue doing it, and you just have to make your own pace. because not everyone learns the same way, or you don't know their backgrounds, because a lot of them, they come from engineering, which is not the same, but sometimes it's easier for them to find the logic into this. So sometimes it was challenging. Sometimes I felt like, oh, this is not for me. Well, a couple of times I cried because I was like, oh, this is so hard. I just don't understand this. But it's just like you have to continue doing it, and you eventually it will happen, and it will make sense, and everything is gonna start like connecting with you. So I would say that it's challenging, but it's worth it.
Yeah. I love how you talked about how Gregorio talked about how like everybody is at their own pace, and like sometimes it's really easy to look at what other people are doing and being like, well, I'm here and they're there, I should be up there. But he reminded you like everybody's different, everyone has different experiences that they're walking in with. And so I think that's a great reminder that it's like the coursework is for everyone, but then it's also like customized for each student to focus on like different weak points and different areas of struggle, and helps you like move forward if you're ready for the next step, instead of like, a traditional classroom where everyone's on the same page and it doesn't matter if you don't understand it, it's like, nope, we're on to the next topic. And if you already understand it, then you're stuck in something that you already understand. So I
Yeah,
like hearing the encouragement.
yeah, no, 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 and you really need to understand that, because otherwise, well, a couple of people left the course because they thought they were not good enough. But sometimes you need to communicate and to speak out, to let others know how you feel, and to try, because maybe they have a good advice for you, and you just need to hear someone like telling you you are in the right place. You just need to continue, like, don't give up, just a little push, I would say.
Yeah, because it's easy to get discouraged and to want to quit, especially if you don't reach out for help and you don't hear advice from other people. You can feel really discouraged and then walk away from a great opportunity. I mean, even in your job search, you talked about how you were starting to get discouraged and Liliana helped push you to keep going. And so, I mean, that source of encouragement and support is not only in the coursework, but then after you graduate and find a career. I love that it's like full circle, and that you talked about like how your cohort came together and you guys were supporting each other working on the project after the graduation so you could keep coding. It's just really great to hear the community aspect. So what was it like to be in the community with other people who are going through the coding boot camp?
Well, it was really nice because they become like a part of your family by that point, because you are like from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. So you are there the whole time. And sometimes you don't understand something, so they are there for you and they help you, because there are some people that they are going to understand something better than you. And also, well, I would say that Sabio really helped you into that, because sometimes they have like little sessions in which you have to teach someone what you did. So in order to teach someone, you have to understand better what you did, and that really helps you, because that reminds you that, oh, okay, I did this. So that makes it easier to understand what you're doing or how you're doing it. And also, well, I have still a couple of friends from my cohort, because you are with them. It's like going to school. It's like a university, but with a shorter time. But yeah, it's really nice.
A shorter time, but like intense long hours, so you build those friendships really fast because you're with each other for so long, even though it's only 3 months instead of like 4 years or a year or whatever. A semester is a lot longer, but you don't see the people in the class as much as you do in Sabio in just a short period of time. So that makes a lot
Yeah,
of
because you
sense.
are having breakfast with them, lunch with them, dinner with them, and sometimes you even join them during the weekends in some call, because you are stuck with something. So they are there for you, or they are also stuck, but you find the solution together. You just join a
Right.
call, and sometimes it's like, oh, it's better to have two people thinking in the same problem than just one.
Does that kind of help prepare you for when you go into the workforce? Because it sounds like in the workforce, there's a lot of collaboration, or is it more like single focused, or is that something that you've seen carry over into your job?
No, that really helps you. Yeah, well, it's not only Sabio, it's all my background, but I always been working with people and I really like that. But Sabio helped me how to work in tech with a lot of people. So that's really nice. And they really it's in Sabio you are not only learning how to code, it's also learning how you are gonna live, how they are preparing you for the real world into tech. You are going to be working with people that maybe you will like or you will like a lot, but you never know. And maybe they are so good at some stuff and they are not good at this. So they are preparing you for everything.
Yeah, I've heard that for a number of graduates, that like the way that they do the stand up and the way that they run, the cohort, it's like the way that it was their first day on the job, and they're like, "Whoa, this is like so similar." It's kind of eerie, but that's like why Gregorio does what he does, and like that's how they base the curriculum, because they don't want to just teach you how to code, which is really important, but they also want you to learn how to like collaborate with others, work with each other on teams, and be ready to be great software engineers in the workforce.
Yeah, that's correct. Well, and also they teach you how to network because that's really important. It's something that, well, I'm from Mexico, so I never did this before. And I also, well, grew up there, so I had a lot of friends. But in here, I had to start from scratch. So they really teach me how to communicate with people, how to reach out to someone in LinkedIn you don't know. Like, hey, I really like your experience. Can you tell me more about it? Or I really want to join this company. Can you help me with this? And it's really nice.
Yeah, I think that networking is a word that people throw around a lot, but then a lot of people don't it's kind of like mentoring is so important, but then no one talks about like what mentoring is. And so I feel like networking is like, have a great network, and people are like, "Okay, what is a great network? How do I even start to build that network?" And so it's great to hear that Sabio has the tools and resources to utilize things like LinkedIn, and the network of people that they have through the graduates helps you build your network, and not just say like have a strong network, but they actually give you the tools on how to create that so that you can find a job and make the connections that you need.
Yeah, and not only that, they also like provide you some links like, oh, I'm a Latina, so they were like, "Oh, you should join Tech Area. You should join Latinas in Tech." It's not only like, "Oh, you go and do your networking however you want, and if you can." It's just like they are providing you the tools and the right groups to join in order to accomplish that better.
So they're helping you find like niche communities around things like your ethnicity or your life experiences, so that way that you can find others who have similar life experiences and then also work in tech. So then it like brings you closer together and ever better able to help each other, because you can relate to each other not only in tech but also in your life experiences. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I lost my train of thought. Oh, every class does a cohort like project. Can you tell us a little bit about what your project was and what you guys were doing?
Yeah, of course. It was like a LinkedIn, but for internships. But what was amazing about this project is that, for example, we imported an API from Vimeo. So instead of just having the regular resume, you were able to upload a 3 minutes video in order to explain yourself. And well, what I would say this feature was amazing. It's because that gives the employer to know better the candidate. So yeah, and we had many different features in that. We had blogs, threads. They could organize events. The name was interns.la.
That's pretty cool to have something for interns that's like LinkedIn to help you find internships. And it seems like I'm surprised LinkedIn hasn't had added like a video feature, or maybe they have and I just haven't used it. But I feel like that's something that would be a really good addition for them to add into their, like instead of just having a profile picture having like click here and you can watch a short video about who I am. I think that would be really
Yeah,
cool.
because in that way you get to know the other people. You get to know how they communicate. Oh, you can see, oh, it seems that they know how to communicate. Oh, they are a little bit shy. Oh, maybe they are a good fit for the job. But well, also I think that gives you more opportunity to land an interview.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds really cool. I love that. I love hearing about the different projects that you guys work on because they're always so interesting. I think that one's my favorite though. I haven't heard that one. So when you were in the process of getting a job, the it was really challenging. It took a few months for that to happen. So what were you doing in that time? You mentioned that you were sending out more resumes and then you continued to code and get support from other people in your cohort. So what other things did you do in that time while you were looking for a job?
Well, honestly, I was building a website because Liliana provided me with an organization that needed one. So she was like, "Well, what you get a job, you can build this website from them." So it was really nice. And well, I was continuing studying, just studying. It was like going into Sabio, well, not 9 to 7, but 9 to 4, like just having, because trying to find a job is like having a job. You just need to commit to it. You just need to start your day like you are working and just like organize your time. Well, that also Sabio helped me into doing that because they were like, you need to have a calendar and you need to set up like, oh, 2 hours for sending resumes, 2 hours for studying. And just, I was trying to follow the same path, like setting up some time for lunch, for sending resumes, for mocking interviews. I got assigned a mentor, so I was also doing some mock interviews with her and continue
So you
practicing sometimes interviews with some coworkers. Well, some co-sabios.
Yeah. So it sounds like you made a schedule to keep yourself focused and like and so that you weren't like, okay, I woke up, what am I supposed to do today? You had like a focused plan for each day and so that way you knew what you needed to accomplish. And so I think that's really good advice. And I think people underestimate how hard it is to get a job. They think like, oh, how much time can I spend, looking to find a job? But it does require, and especially when you add in like continuing to focus on your skills as a coder and like add the practice time in and then searching for jobs to apply to, sending out resumes. There's just so much work to do and finding a job, especially in a tough market. So I love hearing the calendar idea. I think that's great advice for someone who's, in between jobs or graduating from Sabio and they're about to start looking for a job to create that calendar, have it set up so that you know what you need to do and you don't get distracted by all the other things that
Because that's
seem
really
like,
easy.
yeah, yes, so easy. That's I make a calendar. I work from home and I own my own company and so I have to set up a calendar of what I'm going to do every day because I could easily get distracted and get nothing done. And sometimes that happens, but most of the time I can stay on track. And the days I don't write down what I'm going to do, that's the days I'm like, "Oh, look, let's run over here, do over this." So, yeah.
Well, now that you mention, I'm also working from home, but in my work, I don't have a calendar. I should start doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
bad at organizing myself and doing the job, but sometimes you get distracted. So maybe it's better to, oh, I'm going to answer my email in 1 hour. Then, yeah, I should do that for my work too. Yeah.
Still learning. I love how you can take something that you learned and then reapply it in your new job. So, once you got a job and started working, what was that experience like? You're like, finally, I got a job. You said that getting a job was like really kind of, horrible and really stressful. So, what was getting a job like?
Well, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was like, well, finally, what I wanted to accomplish, I got it. And well, I was so excited. But the first job I got, it was having to drive a lot of time. Yeah. So that excitement lasts for maybe 4 months, and then it was just like the regular one. Yeah, but
So,
yeah,
go
it
ahead.
was just like Sabio, something like that. We had an stand up. You have to work on your stuff. Sometimes you communicate with other people in order to make it work, or if you don't find the solution, you communicate with your other coworkers.
Yeah. And so you said you had a long commute and you live in LA. So, and I live in LA. So I know what you're talking about. The commute is like, and now you work from home. So so like, you were so excited you had a job and you were like, I have a commute, but who cares? I have a job. And then you were able to get a job working from home. So what has that like shift been like to be able to work from home and not have to do that LA traffic commute?
It's just amazing. Well, I would say that it has pros and cons because
Right.
also I've been gaining a lot of weight because it's easier to eat something. And well, I stopped like walking because sometimes it's also to commit to your job and just like, oh, I have half more hours, so I'm gonna continue, and then you have like only half hour for your lunch. So that's why I say like I should have a calendar also for not only for my job but also for my life. I also gain a lot of time for myself.
Yeah. So having a calendar will allow you, because you're getting your work done, and that's not the problem. It's like having personal time built into your schedule, like go for a walk, get outside, stop. It's lunchtime. Take a break. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
true.
Because well, I finish working at 4, and most of the times I just close my computer because they have like a good policy in the place I work, and they've been telling me like, "Oh, Mariana, we work until 4, and that's it." So that's not a problem. Sometimes it's just a better way to organize myself. Yeah, to
Yeah.
start like building habits in order to accomplish what I want. But yeah, for example, the walking, I should do sometime during my working time. Yeah,
I
but
think
it's
it's
been yeah, sorry.
I think it's a big transition to go from like an office to home, or any like big change. And I think there's pros and cons, like you said, and sometimes things that you don't think about, like walking from your car to, the building and walking up and down the stairs or walking around the office. And then you're just in your home and you don't walk anywhere. And you're like, whoa, I need to like get outside. I need to move my body. And so I think that's really important to like continually to be adjusting and to realize like there are good things, but then there's also things that you need to adjust to make it even better.
Yeah, for example, I used to go for lunch every Wednesday with well, to have lunch with my coworkers, but also went out every Wednesday for to a new restaurant or something like that. And now I don't have it. So
Yeah.
you lose some stuff, but you are well, I gain a lot of stuff. I'm eating better. I'm eating more, but I'm eating better. So yeah, it's really nice. And I have more time to spend with my husband or to do something that I like.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Sabio was really, hard work, but it's been positive. It changed your life for the better. So, what would be the last thing you would say is a piece of advice for someone who's considering attending Sabio?
Well, I would say it's gonna be divided in two. The first one is like if you are thinking about it, don't procrastinate and just do it because right now it's the right time to do it. Don't say like, oh, maybe in the next month or in 2 months. Just do it right now because right now it's the best time just to do it. And another thing is that never fall down. Even if you feel like you are falling behind or this is not for you, just keep doing it and try to communicate with someone because they might look that they are the best ones or they don't feel the same way, but you never know. So you just try to communicate and you will find that some people is feeling the same way or they have a piece of advice for you. So you need to just keep trying and keep doing it and you will accomplish whatever you want if you are just like really persistent.
I love it. So to wrap up, you say, do it now, don't put it off, and then look for support from other people. Don't quit. Get advice from others and get help from, the staff and also from the people on your cohort team. So I
Yeah,
love
because
that.
Sabio is totally worth it. You will find a job if you put the effort. Yeah, as they said, if you do it, you are gonna find whatever you want.
I love it. Thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you for sharing your story. I really loved hearing it and meeting you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Bye, Amanda.